You see with this art, is it black owned, and that, yeah, bro, like, I don't know what makes you think that's alright to make a big thing about is it black owned, because if I go and make a page talking about, is it white owned, and that, yeah, bro, you're gonna think that's racist. So, I don't know why you think that's cool to make it a big deal, is it black owned, like, but that's hella gay, like, do you know what I mean?
My baby looking too good, yeah, she perfect. No, she worth it. When she pull up, all them man, them flirting. And yeah, she know that she a dime. Call up on my line, told her, baby, bring it one time. Yeah, girl, sit down and relax. Girl, let me...
Yo, what's really good though? It's your girl Yezzir, and you are locked into another banging episode of Hey Sis. It's your girl here, and I had to just talk about a few things. It's your girl Yezzir. If it's your first time listening, I want to say welcome to the sisterhood, the fold. This is the platform where it's unapologetic. The conversations that our parents told us not to talk about outside the house, but you know, we've decided it's a new year, times are changing, and talking is actually healthy, believe it or not. So on today's episode, it's going to be a funny one. First and foremost, I need you to get yourself a cup of tea. How are we feeling about this Hey Sis mugs? I'm going to zoom into it. Oh, today cute, no? Very cute. Absolutely love that. Obviously, I got to talk about some of the milestones as well. So in case you didn't know, we are on Instagram. We are on Spotify, exclusively on Spotify. We are not on any other audio streaming platform for podcasts. The reason being is that we just want the traffic to go to one place. To be very honest with you, it's too much at this stage to have too many platforms to kind of fiddle with. So if you haven't downloaded Spotify, I'd like to think Hey Sis is the reason why you've downloaded it. And if you want to find us, it's Hey Sis UK. I'm going to put it up somewhere here so it's easy for you to find. On Instagram, you can find us under at HeySis_UK. We drop clips every day. We might take a break on the Sabbath because, you know, Sunday is the day of rest. And you rest as well. And then you can catch up on 6 days worth of clips. A lot of conversations there. And I like to encourage conversations on our Instagram page. Have a whole thread going on. People like to go back and forth with their own opinions, whether it's respectfully or disrespectfully. It's another conversation, but it is a nice place to find people that may or may not have a common understanding as your own, but a lot of interesting characters on that front, that's for sure. As for TikTok, you can find me at Yezzi.Yezzir. So my personal milestone is 10,000 followers. I'm at 9,000 plus. So if you didn't know I had TikTok, go ahead and follow the kid. On Instagram, our actual goal is 10,000 followers, and we are on 7,000 plus. And we would not have been able to get to that point if not for you. So thank you, first and foremost. And if you haven't yet, go ahead and follow us. We are also on YouTube, if you didn't know that. You might be listening to this on Spotify and thinking, rah, I didn't know I could get visuals of the episodes. Well, yeah, every episode is done visually. The extra effort to make sure you experience everything we're talking about on a whole nother level. And that is on my YouTube channel, which is Yezzir Official. The goal is to get to 1,000 subscribers. Minor, I know. Well, we are at about 800 odd subscribers right now. So if you haven't done that yet, you know what I'm going to talk about. You know what I'm going to say. Yes, go ahead and subscribe. Full episodes are there, clips, everything you can imagine. And YouTube Shorts, guys, you are going crazy on the YouTube Shorts. So much appreciation on that one. Hopefully that was enough time. You see all the formal stuff to get out the way. That was enough time to get yourself a cup of tea, have a little sip. I'm just going to use this as a hand warmer for now. But it has been a crazy week. You see, with January, yeah, we're just starting on the year. Don't know when this episode is going to drop, but we are literally just warming up with the first month. So much is happening. And everything goes back to the word of beef. Beef, beef, beef. Did I want there to be a lot of beef this year? No. I didn't want it to be. And it's from England to America internationally. But there's one thing that I wanted to talk about. So, as you know, I'm a creator. I have friends that are creators. And they had a very interesting DM sent by a follower. And, you know, as a friend, I just looked on the Instagram story and I found it amusing. It was sad, but I found it amusing. And my friend was like, you know what, sis? You need to talk about this on Hey Sis. I was like, you know what? You're right. I do need to talk about this on Hey Sis, because there's some things that we shouldn't leave out of conversations, that we would actually talk about the things. So my friend, he goes by the creator name Jamo Be Hungry. He's actually a food reviewer. So he reviews foods, different type of foods all over the country, up and down. He's also on TikTok. So if you type in Jamo, I'll put his handle somewhere here. I'm trying my best not to say his government name, you know. You know when you know people in real life and you're like, you know what? Let me behave myself. I'm not here to put people's stuff on blast. But he has this thing where he is very forward on the movement of black-owned restaurants. And like anybody that's black or understands the plight that black people have been through, you would understand why that's something that's at the forefront of everything he does. But he had a follower that wasn't impressed with him saying that or mentioning in his videos, is it black owned or this is black owned, just letting you guys know. Because there are people out there that want to support black owned business. I don't know what the problem is. So I'm going to go ahead and play one of the videos he sent him. And yeah, we're definitely going to be talking about it.
And bruv, listen, yeah, like, I fuck with your page and that, innit, yeah? You see with this, is it black owned and that, yeah, bro, like, I don't know what makes you think that's alright to make a big thing about is it black owned, because if I gotta make a page talking about, is it white owned and that, yeah, bro, you're gonna think that's racist. So, I don't know why you think that's cool to make it a big deal, is it black owned, like, well, that's hella gay, like, do you know what I mean? Like, don't be doing gay shit like that, bro. Like, cause I couldn't give two fucks. Like, I couldn't give two fucks. I actually know you, innit, yeah. I ain't got nothing against you. Like, I follow your page. Like, and like, yeah, I fuck with it, but bro, you see with that black owned, bro. Like, bro, don't be doing that. That's nuts. That's nuts. Cause if you go and see a page making a big thing about is it white owned.
So, besides that person being an absolute and utter brickhead, let's really talk about the issue right now. So, in case you couldn't tell from the clip, he's not impressed with the fact that he's using the term black owned. I'm going to say how it really is. When you are a people that has been either marginalized, outcasted, downcasted, a lot of the things that you even enjoy or benefit from made illegal for the actual purpose of making sure you don't thrive in society, when you get to a point where you can actually own things and it can be beneficial to you, you're going to let people know. How do you let someone know if you're not a front-facing business when it comes to the owner, the owner's not front-facing, how do you let people know you're black-owned? You have to tell people it is black-owned, just letting you know it's black-owned, and this is for the benefit of other black people who want to circulate money within our communities. The stats don't lie, the statistics are all there. When it comes to the black British pound, our money doesn't circulate within our community for as long as it should do. Eventually it goes on to other communities, but some communities it can last days, years and months before it leaves. When it comes to the black community, when it comes to the things that we actually buy into the most, whether it be cars, clothes, hair products, when it comes to actual entertainment, all of these things are owned by people that are not within the black community, whether it be white, Asian, the list goes on and on. So when you're someone that wants to prioritize, God forbid, black people being able to benefit from someone that looks like them and is most likely to treat them better, and I'll get onto why that is, this is how you let people know. For me, to send a voice note like that, besides from just being an absolute brickhead, but to send a voice note like that, for you to say you're uncomfortable, because that's what it really is. Let's talk about it. You're uncomfortable with the term black owned because it means that the people that you are comfortable seeing in a small space has the potential to rise up, meaning that you're not going to be on top of everything or controlling the narrative like you're used to. Because a lot of people don't mind change as long as change doesn't affect me. If change comes to my detriment, or it means that I can't take advantage like I'm used to, or I'm ignorant to the fact of that I have an advantage in this society and people make it aware to me, or I start to feel the disadvantages of not being first in this society, of course you're going to find a problem with a certain group rising up in the ranks. That's what it is. A lot of people don't like what black owned represents. And I want to do a quick breakdown. Let's get our cup of tea. It's about to get, you might not agree with me on this point, but I have to keep it real. Oh. There's two categories of black owned. There is front facing black owned, where we know a black person owns this, is great, we can see it, is very much in our face, it's evident. And there's beneficially black owned, meaning when this person passes away, their children or black people as a whole still benefit from the fact that this business started out as a black owned business, whether it be the employees of the business where they prioritize the fact there has to be black people, or they are very charitable to African or Afro-Caribbean charities, that type of thing, prioritized. I personally like to support beneficially black owned businesses. So I still have a little filtering system there, because some people like to make you think, oh, this is black owned. But when you get in there, black people don't work there. There's no charitable giving to black people. There are no internships for black people in maybe disenfranchised areas. Nothing like that. So you can be black owned, and it might be beneficial for maybe the 30, 40, 50 years that you personally own the company. But if you're not helping your community and building the villages that you came from, metaphorically speaking, if you're like from inner city type of thing, and the people from your same city don't benefit from you being in a better place, it's a waste. Because if you say you are black owned to represent something, then representation comes with a benefit, whether it be a place of hope, whether it be a place of opportunity. Straight up. I think that it's a shame that even though we are in a new year, and we'll have people amongst us, because if you can tell by the tone and the accent of the person, they probably live in London, probably went to school with black children and stuff. And some of us, we get a bit, not me though, but get a bit gassed up, or we forget ourselves when we are hanging out with people that are not necessarily black. And when I say that, I mean as in, we assume, oh, you might have a black partner or you have black friends, so you're for the advancement of black people. We should never assume that. Just because someone has a black partner or black friends or enjoys the black culture, it doesn't mean that they are championing the advancement of black people. So make sure you're very aware of your settings, because there are people that when you bring the real problems to them, it's not about the friend that's ready to just go to the club and dance to a bit of Afro beats or try out some of the food, and they enjoy the food, the music, the clothes, even doing a young holiday from time to time. When you say, oh, we need an ally in this situation, we need someone that can be our Trojan horse to help us. Are they ready to do that, or do they back out and say, oh, you know what, it's not really my steez, or it's a bit too much, or I'm not comfortable? Okay. You're all for my rhythm, but when it comes to my blues, you like to back down. Fair enough. And these type of people, we shouldn't be allowing them to just come round like a tourist and then act like they care if they don't care. There is nothing wrong with using the term black owned when you need to make it clear that you need to benefit from this. Because don't think other businesses from other cultures don't use wording like buzzwords to kind of signal to their people, because they all understand it. When you say something like made in England, if that's not a buzzword, I don't know what it is. Because if you are patriotic and you see something said made in England or manufactured in England or used with English stock or something like that, when it comes to certain fabrics, a patriotic person would say, oh, you know what, I'm for England and supporting England. Why not? No one ever goes to someone that says, oh yeah, you know, these eggs are made in England, and goes, oh, you know what, who cares if it's made in England? If I start to say made in Zimbabwe, you wouldn't like it, so how about we just have some eggs? It doesn't work like that. Business, marketing, society as a whole, it doesn't work like that, because people like to relate to things when it comes to business. They like to have a connection with somebody. So if I know my advantage in my business is that I just so happen to connect to you, whether it be on an ethnicity level, a class level, or religious level, I'm going to use it to my advantage. So what about the wording of black owned business makes you feel uncomfortable? At the end of the day, if you enjoy the black culture, then at least you know this from the front, from the actual jump. If you enjoy black food of a black culture of a certain black country, and someone tells you, hey, this restaurant is black owned and even Nigerian owned, and it's Nigerian food that's being served, wouldn't you feel more inclined to go to that restaurant? Or are you those type of people that like going to certain Caribbean restaurants that aren't owned by Caribbean people? They don't hire Caribbean people, but they serve Caribbean food. You don't feel any type of way about that. That's because you don't have a connection with the people. And this is what we're talking about. There is no way, if you don't have some type of empathy or connection to a group that has been marginalized, historically kept down in society, then you're going to feel no need to align with them when they need you the most. If you know there's a group of people that need to use every tool in their arsenal in order to just get a little bit better, not even trying to surpass another group in society, but dare I say it, have a little bit of an equilibrium. Just be face to face with people and say, oh, you know what? I'm not trying to say I want to be on top. I don't want to be the best restaurant or the best manufactured car or the top fashion house. I just want it to be fair. I just don't want things to be twice as hard for me. Because everyone's had that same speech when you're a black kid. You have to work twice as hard. Some of us don't even question it. We're just like, oh, you know what? I mean, if I have to work twice as hard, I have to work twice as hard. But we all know it's because of the fact that we are in a society that's predominantly white. We're black. We're told by our parents that we have to work twice as hard to get the same thing. And we accept it and we just muddle through, and that's just the way things are. But when people are uncomfortable with you looking like a beacon of hope of, wow, things do look like they could be an even kill. I don't know about that. And they're even using tactics to make that happen, like black owned. You see where I'm going with this again? That's why I get ticked off. Because if someone has a designer, as in designer clothes, and they have a fashion house and they say things like, oh, you know what? I want to let you know that my designer clothes are black owned. Someone has a fashion house and they say, oh, this fashion house is black owned. I'm going to feel more inclined to buy from them. You know why? Because the fashion houses that are supposed to be the giants of the fashion world, some of them have made it very clear that they don't like black people wearing their clothes. So you rather me be an absolute fool for somebody else. You rather me beg to sit at another person's table who has told me time and time again, I don't want you sat at my table. You rather that than for someone else to signal me that it's black owned. Their company and their brand is black owned. And I say, you know what? If a black person's going to be treated better over there, I'm going to go there. But no. If I'm wearing a designer that you know the owner doesn't like me, you feel more comfortable because I'm being suppressed, because I'm being oppressed. It's already been 400 years. There's already been things and initiatives and activisms that have been put forward to help, and it's still not even. And when people innocently use terms, there's a problem. The reason why it's so dangerous for people to have this kind of mindset is that if all of a sudden certain governments go, oh, you know what, when it comes to business, you're not allowed to use certain words because they can be found to be triggering by other groups. So you're no longer allowed to use it. In fact, we're no longer going to allow people to publicly state their ethnicity or their nationality or their race because we feel like it might be an unfair disadvantage for people. Who wins when black people are already a minority in England? When we supposedly only make 4% of the country, hence why we're not allowed a certain level of representation in certain facets and certain rooms when it comes to parliament and things like that. And dare we try to go and branch out into business? There's already a lot of red tape when it comes to opening up a business. Do you know the hoops that someone has to go through to even open up a shop on the high street? The amount of money one has to prove in their account at this moment in time, or account for the last 6 months in order to open a business or to rent a home. If I start to go into the injustices that black people have to face when it comes to rental, and I'm not talking about even just from the color of the skin, I'm talking about even qualifying to get a home. You can have all the money, you can have the cleanest of rap sheets, and when it comes to your actual DBSs and all these things and credit checks. But based off a landlord, a human being, having an emotion, just going on a whim about who they want to just rent. This is not a permanent fixture. We're talking contracts as, let's just say, as short as 6 months or 12 months. And they go, I just get a weird feeling about them. I've presented, offers to landlords saying, oh, you know what, this person would love to rent from you. And landlords going, I don't know, I just got a weird feeling about them. I said, well, when it comes to salary, they tick the box on the salary requirement that you've put in there. When it comes to the move-in date, it's very generous. They can move in even earlier, which is always a plus. When it comes to pets, they don't have any. I don't understand what the problem is. Do you have anybody else? Just for the sake of commission, I try to just reach for somebody else who doesn't really tick all the boxes, but you know what? It's the landlord that comes first. We have to please them. And because that person wasn't black, the landlord was like, oh yeah, you know what? Yep, I'm definitely going to go with them 100%. I was so gobsmacked that I had to ask, are you sure? Because they wouldn't even be comfortably earning enough to pay the rent like that. Are you really sure? Yeah. Get them signed up. I'm like, but they won't even be able to move into the property until later. They're not even moving in on the ideal date that you wanted the contract to start, the whole tenancy. Oh, that's fine. I can wait a week or two. A week or two? A landlord that can sacrifice a week or two's worth of rent. I said, wow. I mean, I've seen a lot of things in my life before, but never seen anything like this. And I think it's sad, whether you're young, old, whatever, and you put race into the equation, if you put class into the equation, you get to a point where you're very comfortable with no's. You are used to disappointments. You're used to being judged when you enter a room before you opened your mouth. You're used to going in a corner shop, and I know I'm not the only one. Raise your hand if you experienced it before. You go into a corner shop and you just start to get followed around. You go into a shop, you're followed around. You haven't even blinked and someone goes, hi, can I help you? And it's not a genuine, can I actually help you navigate your way around? It's, you seem like trouble and I want to filter through and get you out of here as quick as possible. So I'm going to let you know I've seen you. Hence why I'm going to ask you, do you need help? And once I try to give a grace of, okay, maybe it's customer service. That's why you've asked me, I've just come in. So I'll give you a customer service point for that one. I'll give you a BEYI. But if I'm walking around looking at things as any normal shopper would do before they purchase something, and you're asking me for a second time, a third, hey, I see you looking. I see you are watching. And I know the episode's getting a little spicy now, I can tell. But there's a couple of things you need to do. You need to like, you need to subscribe, and you need to drop a comment before we go any further. Let me give you a bit of time to do that, yeah? Yeah, I think that's enough time. Let's get back to the episode. I'm not a power person. I will always give you points for customer service. But if I enter into a shop here and you ask me, hey, can I help you with anything? I'll give you a BEYI. But if you ask me for a second and third time, you're giving me the vibe that you think I'm going to steal from your shop. Don't flatter yourself. And this is the type of crap that we as black people have to go through. We have to be patient. We can't overreact. We can't be seen to be aggressive because God forbid we display emotion. That's it. Any argument, any point we had in order to win this situation, this argument, it goes out the window because it's so quick. Society's so quick to say you're being aggressive. You're showing threatening behavior. Oh, I feel unease. So what do you feel unease about? Are you uneased by my self-awareness? Are you feeling uneased by my confidence? Are you feeling uneased about the fact that I'm assertive about when injustices are being served? Pick one. Let me know. It's so funny how society moves. If you're wondering where I've gone, I just had a cup of tea. I had to do it. And there's about 3 more clips. So, let me play you another clip. This is all by the same individual that's just sending him clip after clip about how he feels so uncomfortable with the term black owned. The term black owned is a threat to people that never want to see black people do well. I don't care. Because why would you feel uncomfortable knowing that something is owned by someone that may or may not look like you, and that other people will feel more inclined to spending their hard-earned money, it's not money that's stolen, in a place that's black owned. Let's get this other clip up.
You're gonna think that's funny. So
hold on. Let's get this other clip up. This is after being ignored, mind you.
And for the record, I'm not even saying this, bro. I'm not even saying this because you left me on scene because I couldn't give two fucks. But, bro, like, allow it. But is it black owned? If you fucking see a page having on their bio, is it white owned? Bro, I know you're gonna look at that funny, like, so what the fuck makes you think that you can make a big deal about is it black owned, bro? So fucking what if it's black or white owned? What the fuck does that make any difference? Like, allow it, bro.
Okay, let's pick this, eh? So he said something about, oh, if something's white owned, I know you're gonna look at it funny. But that's the advantage of being in a society where you're the majority. You don't need to tell me it's white owned, but you tell me in so many other ways that it's white owned. From the people that you hire, to your shareholders, to the people that own it, to the charities you give to the places that you're based in. I already know you're white owned. You don't need to tell me because you're of a certain level where it's pretty evident. You don't have to reach that far out. There are certain places that won't even set up shop in certain areas because they will say things like, oh, we don't really cater to that demographic. Oh, we don't actually have people from that demographic use our spaces. There are so many filtering tools that businesses used, non-black businesses use. So let me reel this back for you, yeah, so we can all deep it. There are many filtering tools that non-black businesses used to make sure, as a means of deterrence, that you don't even think to use them. There are restaurants that will price their items at certain amounts that they know people from certain classes, and people from certain classes just so happen to make up the majority of certain ethnicities. You with me on this one? So from where they price their food and drinks, you're not even going to bother going there. So when you enter there, of course, there's going to be a certain demographic in there. They're going to use locality to make sure you can't come by being maybe in the West End or central London, or having a certain amount for how much it is to park their car. So if you have the filtering tool of someone that can't afford congestion charge, can't afford ULEZ, doesn't have a certain type of car, can't afford maybe, there's some places in Soho that if you wanted to shop for the day, the parking is £50, flat rate, for casual shopping. Of course, there's going to be certain people that won't even think to pay for that. Let's be so honest. There's certain places that require you to, let's just say members only, where you can't just sign up to be a member. This isn't Soho House. There are certain members only clubs where a member has to recommend you before you can even be a member. Again, that member's going to be someone of a certain hue, certain class, a certain earning bracket. Let's be so for real. Like, if you are educated or have some level of common sense, of course a white person doesn't need to use the term black owned. If you're running things, the ball is in your court always. You don't have to really reach to get things done because you don't have to jump through the same hoops. I have no problem with anybody from any group, any ethnicity, anything like that. But let's be so honest. There are two things in society that literally make the economy move. And if we take money out the equation, it is race, as in ethnicity, and class. And if you just so happen to be from an ethnic group that isn't really running things, and if you just so happen to be of a class that isn't necessarily running things, we're talking lower middle, we're talking working class, Your technique when it comes to marketing, getting businesses is going to be different. You're going to appeal to your community. You're going to use community ties in order to have people want to support what you do. That's why you have a lot of people that own a business in certain areas that say, "Oh, support my business," not to actually pander to it or, "Oh, you know what, my business is really good. Look at my products." They lead with the term of support, 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 because when you're coming from a place where not everybody gets to go out and win, you lead with words that are like terms of endearment. "Oh, support me. Let's be a family. It's a friendship. It's a brotherhood. It's a sisterhood." That's why certain workplaces, they say that you can actually make employees work for you longer and have a better experience working for you if you use words like "we are a family in this business," because you appeal to people's hearts. We're human beings. You can pull at anybody's heartstrings and get more out of them than if you were to just come in really cold and say, "Hey, we're a business, we're a company, you're an employee. Where's your NI number?" It doesn't work like that. That's why you can have people go above and beyond for a business and work there for 20 years. Mate, you got people in Greg's 3 generations deep. I don't know if you know this. It's a whole documentary on Greg's. Didn't think I'd find myself watching a documentary about Greg's, but here I am. And you'll get people say, "Yeah, my pa worked here and my mama worked here and my daughter works here." And you're thinking, raw, like 3-4 generations. And I'm not talking about CFO, CEO level of type of employment. I'm saying in actual factories, making the dough, or in the shops, front of house. And they are happy because for them, the treatment at Greg's is worth more than just any kind of salary. You get where I'm going with this? So if you got a fashion house that's Italian owned, French owned, of course Italians and French people are going to love it because maybe some of the manufacturing companies are set up there. Some have moved to other places in India, but maybe there's a few that in that chain of actual manufacturing, there's a stop in France, there's a stop in Italy, and their people benefit from it, which is why they feel inclined to talk it up and say, "Oh, I love this actual fashion house and this designer," because it pulls at you from a cultural standpoint. So if our culture is in our food, and we want to rave on about this restaurant, and we want to rave on about, "Oh, this black-owned insert product here," because either they're from the same area I grew up in or they're from the same country as me, people are going to use what they have in their arsenal. I think for my final takeaway in this whole situation, just rounding up on the fact that there are always going to be snakes amongst us. Yeah, there are always going to be snakes amongst us. And the reason why I say this is because we could have a similar struggle, but if we don't have the same struggle, I shouldn't assume that you know what's best for me and you empathize with my journey. Do you know what I mean? Like, we could both be women, but you're not a black woman. So there are things that unless you ask me, "Oh, I would like to understand this more and how can I help with the betterment of this particular subgroup," you're not going to get. This person, we've heard how they speak. They don't sound as if like they're upper class to me. Let's be so real. They probably have black friends. They've maybe even dated a black woman. They might even have a black employer. It's not too far and few to actually think that way. And in his head and in his mind, he's uncomfortable with the idea of black people unapologetically saying, "Let's help one another. This is how we do it." And we're saying it openly. It's not like we have private meetings for this type of thing, or we have a black-owned town hall with a black town crier that says, "Hear he, hear he, all matters pertaining to the African and Afro-Caribbean society in England. We must come together first of the month every month to discuss our issues." No, as much as I would love for us to have that, we don't. So when we use the terms black-owned this and black-owned that, and we know there are people amongst us that it's like their body's itching them, like, rah, like, I don't feel comfortable with this type of language. It reminds me not to get too relaxed. It reminds me that there is still a lot of work to do, and never seek the pity of somebody that will never experience your journey, your life journey as a black man, as a black woman, and especially if you come from a lower middle class or a working class background. It's very different. So I'm not saying people shouldn't hang with other people. Get to mixing as much as you like, whether it's romantically, whether it's work, whether it's friendships. But do not go throughout life being ignorant, thinking, oh, times have changed. And I do pray that times will eventually change. It has to happen. There's nothing that's new under the sun, and everything that's happened will come again. And there was a time when we were really powerhouses in our own element, whether it be mathematics, science, agriculture. As black people, we were doing that in our own countries. But don't get too relaxed around people that will never understand you. When you do have to do something for yourself, as much as it is cool to be unapologetic, and the word unapologetic is getting thrown left, right, and center, we do have to remember that we have to move smart in everything we do. We don't have the leniency and the grace to be very brazen with helping one another. So we have to help one another in a smart way. And I hope that if you're listening or watching this, you know exactly what I'm talking about. As black people, we should be able to open our hearts and freely help one another. And when we do that, we have to move smart with how we do it. Because history has shown us that if we take one path in getting something done, we get killed. If we take another path in getting something done, we get killed. So we have to look onto the Marcus Garveys and the Martin Luther Kings and the Malcolm X's and all these people, and learn from where things kind of didn't go exactly how they pictured, and use it for our own advancements and say, okay, you know what, in this day and age, how do we get to the goal of an equal class as a one class? I'm not saying that could ever happen, but lifting black people up from levels of poverty and working class, and making sure that we're able to better ourselves, whether it be education, nutrition, and overall mental health. How do we do that without getting killed? Because that's, and I laugh in an ironic way, because it's like, it's funny that your aim could be to just better yourself, but because bettering yourself means that it could be a danger to someone else not being able to oppress others, that kind of advancement is a scary thought. But we do have to do it, because things can't go on the way it has. I mean, from the George Floyds and the many after him and the many before him, in regards to police brutality, we have to insert ourselves in spaces. We have to let it be known that we are there in those spaces. That's why we have to announce things like, oh yeah, the first black Senate, or the first local black female councilman in this area, because we need to know where to go when we want someone to understand what we're going through. Because there's nothing more painful than going throughout life and getting into situations and actively wanting to get out of situations, and all you've ever needed was someone to understand you first and foremost. Because before you can fix an issue of a people, you have to understand the people. This is why colonialism and the invasion and slavery was able to be executed. Because when you think about it, how does a minority enter a country where their people are the majority, and they're able to take over and literally run them? Because you understand the people. You spend time with them. You learn the language. You learn the customs. And then with learning, you realize where their strengths are, and then you realize where their weaknesses are. See, we spent so much time when it comes to colonialism being so confused about who we are and who our identity is. But the person that actually knows, the group of people that knows our identity, knows it very well. That's why they're able to keep us in a box and make sure we don't rise above any type of expectation they have for us. So whether you're African or Afro-Caribbean, European-based, American-based, you have to learn about yourself. You need to understand yourself, so we don't get suckered into situations where we slip up and we look like the bad guy and we lose in a situation. To my brother, Jamo Be Hungry, the tag is there. Very good food reviewer, very honest, very transparent in everything he does. Consistent I mean, the amount of restaurants this guy goes to, I mean, my hat's off to him. You see, now, if he decided to respond to this absolute idiot and go back and forth exchanging derogatory terms and things of that nature, he would have put himself on his level. Nah. Silence is loud. Even the scripture says it, that when it comes to fools, give them silence. That's the best response. Because what we're not going to do as time goes by is that we are not going to slip into the net of people that don't want to see us grow. You talk about aggressive, okay, I won't come back at you with aggression. I'll come back with you with education, talking points. I will be able to, as they like to call it, when they're being a bit passionate, I won't be aggressive, I'll be passionate. I won't argue with you, I will debate my points. You see that one? Because the only way to win is either you come in on your Trojan horse, because we need a metaphorical Trojan horse, and this time it won't be under the guise of a mirror and, was it, I think it was a mirror and sugar that they used that time when it came to slavery and the transatlantic slavery and stuff like that. We won't be going under the guise of that, but you need your metaphoric Trojan horse. You need to understand the people. Certain people have used so many years to get to study us and understand us and know our strengths and weaknesses, and we need to know their strengths and weaknesses. You heard in the voice note, this guy said, oh yeah, I can see you've left me on scene and I'm still going to say my points. It's frustrating him that he's getting ignored. This is why we have to just keep ignoring and keep building and doing what we do best, which is shining. Because throughout history, no matter how many times you want to put black people down, we can't help but shine. We were literally put on this earth to shine. Even our melanin said we have to shine. What do you mean? So we are going to continue to say black owned unapologetically, because there are a lot of things that are manufactured and made in countries, and it's being said that this restaurant, you'll see, okay, for example, you will go to East London and you will go to different places in East London where they got their thrift shops and stuff like that. You will see a bagel place and they'll say, oh, this bagel place has been in England and it's been here since 1906 or something like that. No one ever argues with anyone when they say that. Or they'll go to this kind of company, which is maybe shoes. They just do brogues, yeah? Leather, made in England, all that stuff. Family owned, 100 years plus. No one ever argues with this. What, is it because they're using different words? Does the term black, is that a word that's too harsh to use? We should all just run and hide. No. We're going to be loud and proud, always. But I want to say, first and foremost, a big thank you to my brother Jamo Be Hungry for providing that information. I need to get his TikTok here. And he's going to come here actually for a conversation. His TikTok is the same as on Instagram, which is Jamo Be Hungry. I've got some videos just showing his food reviews. I've got a few restaurants that he's been to that I need to add to my list. 110% for that one. The guy in the voice notes, I really do hope, but let me be genuine about this. I hope you found peace, man. I hope you found peace, because being uncomfortable is a sign of you not liking a group. So if you recognize the voice and you're friends with him or know of him, I think he needs a little conversation, a little bit of education about why people like myself feel the need to use terms like black owned for our own advancements and growth in society from business and beyond. I'm actually going to put together a list of some good restaurants and places that are black owned that you should definitely go to. Black owned, black owned, black owned. And we're going to keep saying this. And before you guys go, make sure that you do like, subscribe, and drop a cheeky comment for me, because it helps. The more people that see this, the more that we can just grow and have more uncomfortable conversations, because sometimes you have to get uncomfortable to be comfortable. Yeah. I mean, that is the reality of it all, isn't it? You got to be a bit uncomfortable with certain things. And then when you are comfortable, you're like, yo, I know so much more now. I understand it now. There's no need for me to be scared of this image or this thing and what I thought it represented. Because most of the time when people do have a problem with people, it's because an assumption of what you thought this thing could be. And because you fear it, you don't like it, you want to make sure it's kept away from you and not even an idea. But hopefully that brought some clarity to you. So yeah, like, subscribe, drop a comment. We've got all our milestones that we're trying to hit. Once we do touch on the beautiful 1,000 subscribers on YouTube, we'll be able to take things to a whole nother level. We're talking guests, events in our real life, yes, panel discussions that I've been trying to get together so we can just be able to elevate this year and many more years to come. If this episode does drop when I want it to, then on the 2nd of February, you need to go and holler at your girl. That would be me, because I am hosting Connect Fest at the Old Tiger's Head. And what happens is Connect House Entertainment puts down a showcase for up-and-coming artists. And it's not always up-and-coming. Sometimes it's already up there, you know what I mean? And it's the only showcase in the country that pays all the acts. I need to say it again because I don't think you took that in. It's the only showcase in the company that pays all of the acts. You heard it. So live performances, open mics, and networkings with management, A&Rs, talent scouts, radio pluggers, all in one building. So go ahead and get your tickets over on shubs.com. Until then, you have been listening or watching another episode of Hey Sis. Stay blessed.
No time for chit chat because she move like a queen and I like what I see and I wanna get more of that.
I undress and he blows success. Lay down as you decompress. Come mine and forget the stress. Got the 9 to 5 cause he tryna change his life. He can't help it but to show his bad side. So he call me Yezzi when he want that good ride. Follow my stride, you know you want a good time. Pick any card, I know it won't decline. He know how to please me, never tease me. Keep me in Givenchy, laced in Gucci. Quick, take the keys and drive to Chelsea. He is Scalini, order linguine. He ordered the chateau, we got it to go. Then flew to the chateau, you already know. Friends telling me they see the glow.